What's going on, E-Unit? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy, Maverick the Enigma. This time, this video is going to be a little bit different. This is the first reaction video I've done in a little minute. And I know some of y'all like my reaction videos, so I decided to do pretty much an in-depth, content overlook. You know what I'm saying? Me, I am definitely a huge, well, not a huge, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I used to be heavy into manosphere content. You know what I'm saying? I used to mess with guys like MJ Get Right, AMS, all those guys. I don't really listen to all those guys anymore. But lately I've stumbled across women being into, creating manosphere related content. And, I just wanted to, probably shed some light regarding, the manosphere in general and, topics that they talk about, like, how to navigate through dating as a man in these modern times, feminism, all of that. You know what I mean? And I decided to probably, give, you guys, a little bit of a thorough investigation if these female content creators that creep into the manosphere, are trustworthy enough for us to consume and to, trust. So I'm not going to be the only voice of reason here. I bet you there's plenty of other content creators out there that are doing the same thing. But I wanted to offer my take and to see if you guys, as you would deem them, if these women are chameleons or not. Today we're looking at two women in particular, Courtney Christine Ryan and Rebecca Barrett. Now, these ladies produce a lot of controversial content for women to talk about because, very I've seen a myriad of women come on their page. Some give them praise, some give them slander. It's a slippery slope. But we're going to see and watch their little interview session that Courtney Ryan had with Rebecca Barrett, just to, to see if both of these ladies we're going to probe these ladies at the same time to see if they're as trustworthy as, one might think they are. And at the end of this, I'm going to share my full opinions, and I'm not going to be alone here. I got a couple of buddies of mine that want to share their opinions as well. So, without a doubt, let's get right into it. However, there is this one impending question I have. Have they dealt with any sort of hate coming inside of this manosphere space and being an advocate for, men navigating their way through the dating world? Have they ever faced any hatred from that? Let's look at this clip.
For the most part, I get a positive reaction. Of course, there's some outliers out there that either think that I'm not qualified to speak about these topics.
Yeah,
I'm sure you get that as well.
I do.
And then I get the feminist side where they literally attack me and make videos about me and say that I am a pick-me and all of these different terms. I know.
I hate it.
Am a pick-me and all of these different terms. I know.
I hate it. I get that too. I've actually never had any woman make a video about me.
That's good.
You're like, oh well, I have. I'm getting the brunt of all of it. Okay. Yeah, but I do get the pick. Anytime a woman that doesn't agree with what I'm saying comments on my stuff, it's always calling me a pick me or telling me I want to say stuff to get male attention. I'm like,
yeah,
I am in a 3-year relationship. I don't care about male attention. And the same thing for you. Like, you're married.
Yeah.
Oh, our favorite word, the P word. Why every time a lady wants to help a brother out, with, how to properly treat a lady to respect us in a relationship, why is that lady called a pick-me girl? Is it because she actually values men? Come on, y'all. Anywho, let's keep paying attention.
I'm like, the only person that picked me was my husband, and we're in a very committed relationship, hence marriage.
Exactly. So I never understood that argument. And I do think just like the pick me and just women being very mean to each other, it seems very counterproductive to me. I'm like, if you stand for feminism and stand for wanting to empower other women, why are you coming on my video and tearing down someone you don't even know?
Did y'all just hear what my girl Courtney said? She said that, she's in a 3-year relationship and she doesn't care about male attention. And you know what's the biggest problem destroying relationships in these modern times, especially amongst us Gen Z folk around here, and a lot of it is happening in the millennial generation as well. The impact of social media, because social media gives these ladies a dopamine hit, and it also gives ladies easy and viable options for them to cheat. You know what I'm saying? Because think about it, man. A lady can post a pic of just her face and her good-looking body, and she can get like easily 100K followers. 2,000 likes. You know what I'm saying? Where a guy does the same thing, he might get like 100 likes. You know what I'm saying? 150 likes, barely even 50. You know what I mean? So why? You know what I'm saying? So why would she bring this up? You know what I'm saying? It's simple. It's been a problem. It's been a knife to these relationships because a lot of these modernized women, they thrive off of male attention, even though they claim to be empowered, but they need men to feel good about themselves. At least that's what I noticed. But let us continue. To answer the lovely Courtney Ryan's question, I will have to say this: they love tearing down women who support men, because that goes against their narrative. Because what feminism has turned to in these modern times is pretty much females dominating the world, and pretty much men being the lesser and women being the higher. You know what I mean? They want female domination. They don't care for equality amongst the sexes anymore, like the 1960s feminists mostly got across. No. It has turned into something more radicalized than we have ever witnessed in eons before. But anyway, let us continue analyzing.
It just doesn't add up for me. I've never understood it.
Exactly. I say the same thing. A lot of it is like personal attacks on me and my family, and just they like to make up things about me. And I'm like, I would be so happy to have a conversation with you and actually discuss these topics. But a lot of the time when I ask, they literally just turn me down or don't respond to my messages. So I'm like, I'm here to have a conversation. Like, I like to talk to all sides. I want to hear from everyone. And it's funny because like my audience tends to be men, primarily men, but then I get those women that like tell me that they're so happy that I made this video and that they agree with what I say, and so that's really encouraging, because I'm seeing more and more women with more traditional values come and find my channel, and that's what I want. And I also want to inspire like feminists that still have that ideology to maybe think about something new, because that's how I was a feminist. So
I admire Rebecca's thesis here. She says she wants to use her platform to not only, help the men, but to help the women, you know what I mean, be more traditionally inclined to, want relationships from men, want genuine relationships from men, want marriages, you know what I mean? But in the midst of all of that, you know what I'm saying, there's still this deception of modernity, you know what I'm saying, that we still are in the midst in. So it's getting harder and harder to find more traditional women that are willing to come out and speak out against such asinine ideologies such as modern day feminism. I'm not going to say feminism as a whole, because, you know what I'm saying, we don't want to offend any of the old school feminists out there, you know what I mean? We don't want to offend any one of those, okay? So we're just, because you know how YouTube, they like to censor everything, you know what I mean? But yeah, overall, we're getting a lot of signs of trustworthiness from these ladies, but let's go further.
I went from that to now married and expecting my first child.
Right. It's like a total 180.
Yeah. So it's where I try to bridge the gap and have empathy in my conversations. Like, I never make a video.
One more thing to add: the reason why they don't support traditional women, even though they claim to support all women, I'm gonna give you an underlying reason why. Come here. You know what? I'm gonna come closer to you guys. They're jealous. Envy is a green-eyed monster that can go tuck its tail between his legs and get kicked in it. Anywho, let us continue.
That like personally attack someone, and I like that about you too, because you call out bad behavior, but you make it to the point where it's like, this is the ideology that I'm countering, not the person. Like, I
Right.
can't speak to that.
Hear that, ladies? It's not the person. No. It's the ideology. I'm literally the same way. I am literally the same way. Like when I look at people, I try not to cut them. You know what I mean? I try to make them reframe the way they think. I'm like, have you ever thought about it this way? You know what I'm saying? So that way they don't feel personally attacked. A lot of people, when whatever they thought they knew is being questioned, they feel like it's a personal attack. And then from there, they lose the debate. It is tough. And if you ever get that while you're in the midst of a heated debate with somebody, it is time to pick yourself up by the bootstraps like a champ and walk the hell away. But, let's continue.
Person's life or what they've gone through. I can
Right, because
only
you can
speak
only-
to.
Yeah, you only know so much from a little tiny clip online, especially like a TikTok. Like I've reacted to girls on TikTok
Yeah.
that have given the worst advice in the entire world. And I'm still like, look, I'm not judging this girl because she's probably one doing it for views and knows it will get views because the other feminists that look at it will cling to it and everyone will just freak out and it'll be a viral show. I
Yeah.
get it. Secondly,
Hold it. Courtney brought up a very interesting point. They like to put these negative, videos out on TikTok and all these other social media websites because they know it's what's going to get them views. Like, think about it. I don't do stuff on this channel to get views. I mean, maybe this might get views. I don't know. I do it because out of the generosity of my own heart and the curiosity and creativity of my own brain. But I don't do stuff on here to get views. I mean, I play old games all the time. You know what I mean? If I were really struggling so hard, I'd probably play the hottest game out right now, which is Squid Game. Or I'd be probably playing Fortnite every day. But you know what I mean? People when it comes to internet and content creation, man, depending on what kind of content you're making, it's usually the stuff that's negative and detrimental that gets the most views. You know what I'm saying? But it's a reflective pattern of the kind of world we live in where there's a lack of positivity. But we gonna move forward.
You can't judge someone's character based on a tiny clip on the internet. And that's what I love about your channel as well. It's like, I'm not attacking the person making the content. I'm just giving my opinion and maybe a healthier spin on what she's saying in this video. So I do love that about your content as well, because some of these people, I mean, even probably the ones that make videos about you, it's like a personal attack towards you and not even necessarily what you're saying, or they'll make so many assumptions.
And you know why they resort to personally attack? Because they truly have nothing intelligent to bring to the conversation whatsoever to counter the other person's point of view, perspective of intelligence. Because when losers of a debate know that they're losing, they resort to personal attacks. Remember what I said earlier in this video. Anywho, let's keep watching.
About you before they even watch your video. And it's like
100%.
they go in with this mindset of thinking you're going to say these things, and then you don't say any of those things and they still leave a comment like you said, and I'm like, you're like, no, I didn't even say that. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Crazy.
There's this one video that caught a lot of reaction video, and I had a slew of women just reach out to me and be like, not all women. I am that outlier woman. I was like, I never said all women. I said a majority of women.
Right.
And, and it's like what you probably get too. Not all men, not all women. I don't know how many times I have to reiterate.
See how much hate people get when they want to criticize the majority of women in the slippery slope that, go after the lifestyle of modern feminism. You know what I'm saying? But the modern feminists, they do the same thing towards all men. And, nobody says a word. Nobody says a word. All you hear is crickets. That was the worst cricket sound I ever made. Let's keep it going.
Exactly.
That point, maybe it has to be every video because people, maybe someone just watches one video and not the collection of my videos and understands who I am. But I try to speak in a way that, like, I think about all of the negative comments that I've gotten. So I'm like, okay, I need to make sure I'm making this super clear so that no one takes it out of context. Yeah. And then they still take it out of context. They'll like,
the reason why they take it out of context, Rebecca, is because they don't like their own views and opinions being challenged, because they don't know how to respond to that properly. You know what I mean? Not everybody is at your intellectual level. You know what I'm saying? But lucky for you, Courtney is there right there with you, and I'm here reacting to it, understanding you. So she completely understands what it's like to having to filter your opinions. Because men, most of the times, we deal with that burden. You know what I'm saying? Like, the men in the manosphere, we have to deal with that burden because, you know, the moment you come out to somebody who doesn't know that you're a part of manosphere, it's like World War III gets unleashed on your candy ass. So, anyway, let's rock back into this.
Cut that specific part out.
Every time. Every time. It's like no matter what you do, it's almost like a pick your poison thing.
Yeah.
Someone is still going to find something wrong with it. So I think the more that I post too, I've realized like all you can do is stay in what you believe and what you think is going to help people. People are always going to pick out, you know, negative things about it. It's hard to be a content creator. But what we talked about before with the feminism, I want to go back to your past with feminism because as someone, I know everyone asked you about this, but I have to
It's
ask
okay.
you. As someone who has lived through both, I feel like you can accurately speak on it. Like people talking about things they've never been through or done before is one thing, but when you have experienced both sides, I think you give a very logical point of view. So I would just like you to talk a little bit about you know, when you were an extreme feminist, your experience with it, and then kind of your shift, like what made you change into being the more traditional, you know, role that you're in now?
So growing up, I'll give like a brief backstory. So growing up, I grew up in a very traditional home. Mm-hmm. My mom was in the house and she cooked, cleaned, did all that stuff. My dad was the main provider for the house and for the household. So growing up, that's all I knew. And I thought that's what that's what everyone experienced. Mm-hmm. And then there was some infidelity within my parents' relationship, and that shifted some of the views that I had around male and female relationships. Okay. And so when that happened, sorry, it's also storming here. I live in Florida.
I can't hear it actually.
Okay, great. So yeah, I grew up in a very traditional household. And then, you know, once I saw that and the relationship kind of break apart, but mm-hmm. my parents actually were still together until my dad passed. So, so then I realized I was like, well, I want to start providing for myself. I don't want to rely on a man because I see what that dynamic looked like, right? Mm-hmm.
So part of her origin story was witnessing, some infidelity from her father, despite her parents still managing to work through it and forgiving one another and still staying together amidst a marriage to, help raise Rebecca and however many siblings she may have. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I know she has siblings. That basically was the tick that got her to talk in the road towards feminism. Like, she did not want to have to deal with that. It sounds like she had some inner fears going on, and she's going to use feminism as a wall to protect herself from those feelings of, wanting to be interdependent but forcing themselves to be independent because she doesn't want to be hurt like her mother was. Interesting. Let's see if I'm right.
Going into like high school and college, I was already like a nerd. I'm a mechanical engineer. I have a mechanical engineering background, and
You're fancy girlfriend. I'm like a fashion major. That's awesome.
But I studied robotics. That was like my passion, and then I went to basically an all-guys school, and then
wow, she studied robotics and went to an all-guys school. This lady is trying to be the female Iron Man. This girl's trying to be freaking Rescue Pepper Potts from the doggone Avengers Endgame movie. Y'all saw that. Pepper Potts with the Iron Man suit. Y'all saw that? That's what she was trying to be. Let's continue.
An all male career. So I worked in the oil and gas industry after college, working on and offshore rigs like in California and in Texas and Alaska, Dubai, or not Dubai, Abu Dhabi. Yeah. So it was all over the place. But that's really where a lot of my, I guess, this like feminism ideology was starting to get like I started adopting a lot of it because, working in a male dominated industry, you would think that you would assume that, men don't typically see women in their fields like that, especially like I was on an offshore rig for 2 weeks at a time in Alaska. So it was like
Oh my
they've
God.
never like they don't normally see women. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I started hating men, like that term. Like I started really becoming, I just started like feeling that hatred towards men.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it was because you felt like you had to like compete with them all the time? Like, did they treat you different? Like, was that part of it? Because I feel like that's how, like, a lot of women that are kind of in that situation too, they say things like, I have to work so much harder, I have to prove myself so much more. Like, did you experience that at all?
Very probing question indeed, my dear Courtney Ryan. I just wanted to sound like a creepy villain for a second. Don't sue me.
Actually had a really good experience with the guys on the platform, which is really strange because so at first it was like I was being gawked at all the time. But once I put my foot down, I'm like, listen, I'm here to work. You're here to work, and that's all we're here to do. So let's keep it like.
I respect her for having that mentality in a professional field because there's some women who practice promiscuity in the workforce, and then before you know it, once you know what I'm saying, they hook up with males at work, and if the relationship doesn't work out, bada boom, bada bing, that guy gets me too'd out of his job, and in some cases maybe put in jail. You know what I'm saying? But most likely the man is out of a job and the lady gets to stay because she's so overly emotional that the guy just wanted to pump and dump and just leave. I've seen it happen before at the job I've worked at. So, anywho, golden rule of thumb: never date your coworkers.
Established myself in the industry, people respected me, so I never had really that negative experience. It was the dating world outside where I was like, wow, I like, and we talk about what's it called, hypergamy, right? So hypergamy, real thing.
She said the magic H word. 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 Let's talk about hypergamy.
I was like, well, I make all this money. I believe that I have achieved a certain stature. So I only want to date men that I perceive that have the same stature, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, these rig hands and these guys, like they're just, whatever, like they're crappy guys. Yeah, they talked crap about me and stuff like that. And I understand like Spanish, so they would be speaking in Spanish. I'm like, I can understand what you're saying about me.
Oh my God.
But at the same time, like it also thickened my skin for the, like, I call it the real world. So I went to New York. I moved to New York after that. And that's really where the feminism got its grips on me. And I started my first company in New York. So I left oil and gas, started a company in New York, and then I sold that company. And, I raised money for both of my companies. I was in investor conversations and all this other stuff. And then as we collected together as women, all we would do is talk crap about men, like how we don't get enough funding and the pay gap and all this other stuff. And they would love to promote this victimhood mentality, like, oh, poor you, like.
And that's another way women get drove into the wave of modern feminism. Pay attention to her closest associates. Pay attention to her friends. Her friends, are the biggest indicator of who she is. You know what I'm saying? And, at the time, she said feminism got its grips on her because of the people she was associating with. All they was talking about how much they hated men. You know what I'm saying? Ladies, if you got female friends like this, they are a bad look for you, for those high value men that you want to chase around. Or should I put it in quotes? I'm putting quotes. High value. for those high value men that you want to chase, you know what I'm saying? Don't pick friends that hate men, okay? It's not a good look, ladies. It's not a good look. Anywho, let us continue.
The company, you weren't empowered enough to raise capital. And then after that, it's just like, wow, I feel crappy. Like I've accomplished all of these things. So being in the New York environment and being around other, feminists in New York, it really propelled that idea that I was the victim and that I deserved these things. Like I didn't
said because of feminism, she felt like she deserved those things because she worked hard for it. Well, sometimes you have to do different kinds of work for different kinds of things. You know what I'm saying? And in these modern times, that sense of entitlement has trickled down into generations, after too. You know what I mean? Like what she said earlier, like she felt like those oil rig guys were beneath her because she was making the same money as her. So she, being hypergamous as her nature is, you know what I'm saying? She deemed, more successful guys that aren't working on oil rigs, you know what I'm saying? Or hell, probably being a CEO that will make way more money or being an owner of a company would better suit her needs. But, she eventually humbled down. But let's continue.
to work as hard because I deserved funding. Like
you're like entitled to it because you're a woman.
Yeah. Like, oh, well, where's my funding? I'm a Latina woman and I have a Black co-founder. Like, where's our funding?
Mm-hmm.
So they really promote that. Specifically like in these bigger cities like New York, LA, Miami,
it's really heavy there.
Yeah, especially in New York. So I continued to listen to all of that. And I was just like, I'm so angry all the time. Like I was a miserable person. And the only women that I associated with were like, I wouldn't say all the women, but a majority of the women that I gravitated to were also, not the best, but, but that's what I was living through. And then, I woke up, it took a while. So this is not just like, it didn't happen like overnight. Yeah. It's like, I woke up from my slumber, but, a lot of things happened. So I shaved my head.
Oh my gosh.
I shaved my head.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Head,
like all the way?
It's on YouTube too. So
you know what though? You have I feel like you have the face to look good bald still somehow. So thanks. I'll have to go look at it, but I can just picture you rocking it. But anyway.
Yeah, this is how I see it. Like I needed to go through that experience to almost redefine what my femininity was. Okay. And that's like a weird way of saying it, but I had to go through that. So I shaved my head. I dyed it so many colors. You probably see it on my Instagram. Like I had blue hair, purple hair.
Free game, fellas, free game. If she's dyeing it in unnatural colors, man, she's more than likely a feminist. Like extreme feminist. So I'm not sure if y'all like it, but if y'all don't like it, I suggest you know what she looks like before you decide to finagle around with her. Okay, gentlemen? All right, back to the video.
And here's the thing, like during that time, I also met my now husband, and I was getting to a point, I was 28 at the time, and, just in my misery and all this stuff, I'm like, wow, this is horrible. Like I have all of these things. I have all of these accomplishments. I have been written up in like Huffington Post and all these other news articles and stuff like that. But I'm still single
and miserable.
What modern feminists don't understand is it's a complete illusion to have it all. Because men by biological nature, independence is mainly a masculine trait. And when a woman walks the path of a man, she begins to, lose out on her, her prime years to maintain a man while she's in her peak fertility years. And she realized that mid 30s, early 30s, late 20s, she was still miserable and alone from all those times that she got mentioned in Huffington Post, being a successful career woman. All of that didn't really fulfill her because biologically, women innately, have children to be fulfilled, have families to feel fulfilled. You know what I'm saying? I want you to look at most of your modern day feminists right now and tell me if they're always happy or not. And I want you to look at traditional women and tell me who's always happy or not. A little homework for everybody. Not just for men, not just for women that watch this video, for everybody. Come holla back at me. Let's get back to it.
And miserable and just like, thank God I didn't have pets or anything like that.
Like 50 cats.
Yeah, 50 cats. But, I thought to myself, I'm like, wow, if this is what life is supposed to be about, I'll choose a different path. Like, I want to choose a different path. And so, I met my husband and when people say like, you become feminine around masculine men, it really does happen. Like he opened up something in my heart that I was like, okay, baby, like I'm ready for this one. And then, during our dating season, we dated for a year and then we got engaged. And then we went through intense premarital counseling. And my premarital counselor, I love him. He married us. He is still in our lives. He texts me. He's going to be the my child's grandparent at this point. He's
so cute.
I wonder how many modern women ever signed up for marriage counseling before they considered divorce. I got nothing. But no, seriously, Rebecca Barrett took a leap of faith by allowing the masculine to be masculine instead of trying to micromanage him and, not be, feminine with him. And she's right. The more masculine you are, the more femininity traits that you will, exude from your woman. You know what I mean? But you have to have some sort of iota of respect, because a good amount of feminine woman won't put up with a feminine man or waste his time if she's confident and secure enough to tell him that. But you know what I'm saying? And even on the flip side, a masculine man won't put up with a masculine woman if he's man enough to, not waste her time or waste his own time. Because a man's time is valuable to not only himself, but to everyone, and vice versa. So, let's keep it 100, man. I suggest before divorcement, before people even get married, other than prenups, I highly recommend marriage counseling, because that'll definitely, save you from being one of the statistics of 80% of the 80% of women filing for divorce, and 60% of those divorces that get filed being successful. So, it'll also increase our marriage rate from being a career low 35 to 40% to about like a good 45-50%, mathematically speaking, in a realistic sense. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I 100% stand behind marriage counseling. Couples must stay together. Anyway, let's get it.
So much. But he really sat me down. He's like, if you continue to go down this path where you control the relationship, you're going to lose your husband. You're going to lose him.
See, no true masculine man wants a female partner that's going to always preside over him and try to dominate him. He already fights so many wars, going outside the house, going to work, busting his ass, so that way they could have her could have a place to live. Him and her could have a place to live. No man wants to come home to a wife to, another war. You know what I'm saying? He deals with enough wars. It's enough headache for him being a man these days. It's tough out here being a masculine man, because you are looked down at by society, because society wants to feminize you, masculine man. If you are a masculine man watching this, I encourage you to keep moving forward in your path, king, because your day of reckoning will come. And more importantly, don't be afraid to weed out the weak people in your life, regardless of what gender they identify as, that don't support you because of what you stand for. Do you understand me? All right, let's keep watching.
And I was like, well, I don't want that. I want to get rid of this. Whatever is making me miserable, I need to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And it's that that relinquish of control and letting him like actually be the man in the relationship, that took a lot of strength because I was gritting my teeth.
A lot of women will perceive you relinquishing your strength to control the relationship. A lot of modern women, I must say, modern feminism women, I must say, see you giving your control of the relationship to the man as weak. Why do they perceive it such? Because of the lies they've been told about women having it all, but you can't have it all. You cannot have a healthy, sustainable marriage if you want to control everything. You've got to relinquish that power. You got to have a man you could trust with, you know, the important decisions in your life concerning him. Because regardless if you are, you know what I'm saying, whatever part of the world, you marry that man, you're his partner for life. You should be his teammate, not his competitor. Real talk.
My counselor was like, but it needs to happen in order for you to understand, like, your marriage is going to fall apart if you continue to be this way. And I was like, I don't want that. I want to marry this man.
Yeah, and that's good that you figured that out before you got married too, because I feel like a lot of people just see marriage as this like prize or this like beautiful thing that they don't understand, like the hardship.
Let me elaborate a little bit, Courtney. People think marriage is just this big old fairy tale ending and everything's supposed to be sunshine and rainbows. But I'm here to tell you, I'm not married, but I've witnessed firsthand what marriages consist of, and I'm telling you, at times it's not gonna be that fun. It's not gonna be that, you know, plentiful. It's not gonna be that, you know, enjoyable. You know, there's gonna be some rough patches, man, because life goes on. Whether you get married or life, married or not, you know, happiness isn't a continuous thing unless you make it to be. You know what I'm saying? And oftentimes, you know, happiness sometimes dwindles depending on what's going on, because, you know, things change in an instant, in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye. You know, not everything's always going to be sunshine and rainbows, but if you guys can grasp the reality of that going into your marriage, more power to thee. And we got a couple seconds left for this video, so we're gonna keep watching.
That come along with it too, and you have to live with that person forever. So just jumping into something because you think it looks good is not the reason to do something. And figuring out, you know, where you fall short and what areas of yourself that you can work on before you take that next step with someone is so important.
I love how Courtney worded that. Just because it looks good doesn't mean, you know, I feel like, you know, just because something looks good doesn't mean, you know, it'll be beneficial for you. I totally stand by, you know, what she says. She literally took the most rational route here. You have to really consider what and who you're getting into, you know, getting into relationships with and forming relationships with. You have to take that serious, you know. Just because they may have a handsome or a pretty face, you know what I'm saying, doesn't mean that they're pretty on the inside. You know, you got to know what that person is throughout all walks of life, throughout all 4 seasons. You know what I'm saying? Once you witness that, you know what I'm saying, you can rationally make a decision. Is this the type of person that I need to be with? Is this the type of person I need in my life? And more importantly, do I even want this person in my life? Because, you know, you can need somebody and desire somebody all at the same time. But, however, I get this strong feeling that we may need more evidence here before I come to a conclusion. But so far, I'm slightly convinced. It's going to take a little bit more for me to be fully convinced. I remember them mentioning that they do TikTok reactions to all the toxicity feminist TikTok creators. Let's go look at, you know, clips from both women observing these creators, and we're going to chime in. Okay, we're going to chime in. All right.
The text says, when you talk to a guy for a week because you're bored and then he asks you to make plans in real life. And she says, I don't wanna. And I've talked about this before, and this is when you become the attention guy and the fill-in guy. When she only texts you, you become her texting buddy, and then she never actually has any plans to hang out with you because she doesn't actually like you and she's just bored. Unfortunately, speaking as a woman, I can tell you that this happens all the time. This is something that I used to see people in college do, high school, people that I knew, literally all the time. It's like people just are bored. People get so bored so quick. People have such a hard time entertaining themselves that they always rely on someone else. I'm, of course, not everybody, but this is something that I think is very common, especially, you know, with dating apps, social media. Women have normally a good amount of men to talk to. And so if you notice that you're becoming the texting buddy or the fill-in guy, you continuously try to make plans with a girl and she says no or she flakes but then texts you, cut it out. Unless you want to be the attention fill-in guy, cut it out because it's never going to go anywhere. You're just wasting your time. I've done a whole video on it that I'll link down below for you guys.
Very, very exemplary analysis, Miss Ryan. Very exemplary analysis. Because there's been plenty of times, whether I've been in middle school, high school, where I've just been the texting friend and didn't realize that, you know, the girl didn't want to take anything further with me. But, you know what I mean? I stood there as long as I, you know, felt like I needed to because, you know, when I didn't know no better. Now I just know, okay, it's not going to work. I'm done. You know what I'm saying? But before I would just stay there hoping and praying for a chance that things would finally turn around. You know what I'm saying? And when she don't, you know what I'm saying, want to, you know, meet me halfway on some shit, you know what I'm saying? It was time for me to go. And earlier I didn't get it, and before and afterward I would just get crushed or get embarrassed or get my heart broke, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, very thoroughbred analysis on, you know, the female psychology of being, you know, basically an attention whore. Just using guys for attention. You know what I'm saying? We spoke about that earlier in this video. But, alright, we're going to look at a clip from Rebecca Barrett now to save time. Okay? Let's go.
So this TikTok, if you guys can't read it, it says singles running from a healthy relationship because they're so used to toxic drama and it feels uncomfortable to have peace. I see so many women running away from healthy relationships, from actually having a happy, healthy relationship because they're so used to the toxic men. They're so used to the toxic relationships and they don't know any better. So they think that they constantly have to be in drama. They constantly have to be chasing. They constantly have to be, you know, trying to change that person in order for the relationship to be successful. And then they're overlooking the healthy relationships, the healthy guys that are out there that actually want to treat them well. To have a successful marriage, you need to have some level of peace. But for so many people, men and women, they love the toxic drama. They love to live in that. And unfortunately, you're going to continue these cycles if you don't break free from this, from your own toxic nature, right? Like, this is why I tell people you need to go to therapy. You need to resolve these things because you might be seeing your parents' relationship or your friends' relationships or other people in your circle's relationships, and you think, well, they get into all these fights, but then they get back together and, you know, it's fun and exciting. So they're just going off of that when they haven't seen what a good relationship actually looks like. So again, like, therapy is very important here, and you have to work on yourself before you can enter into a relationship. You need to have some level of understanding and self-awareness for yourself in order to be there for another person. So that's funny, but also really sad because it does happen.
She's absolutely right, ladies and gentlemen. Yet another amazing thoroughbred analysis from the lovely Miss Barrett. I must say, it's very, very, very important to, you know, see intrinsically what a lady can value when it comes to what she deems what a relationship looks like for her. Because if she constantly picking guys that she knows that is gonna be bad, you know what I'm saying, there's something wrong with her upstairs. Maybe she hasn't seen what a good, healthy relationship looks like, you know, as Rebecca touched on. She could be a Jade West from Victorious, because remember that one part in that one episode where Jade and Beck break up because they kept arguing and fighting, you know what I'm saying? And Jade kept asking Kat, hey, you know, couples, they fight all the time, right? You know what I'm saying? She didn't know what a healthy relationship looks like because her parents in the show, her parents are divorced. That's how her character is written. A lot of girls have the mentality of Jade West out here. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't know how, you know what I'm saying, how to act in a, you know, healthy relationship, how to maintain a healthy, stable relationship. Or they might think the guys that they might know the guys that provide them with that aren't as charismatic as the guys that won't provide them that will give them toxicity. They kind of want the best of both worlds in a sense. You don't understand what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? I think y'all do. But yeah, I think I'm feeling a little convinced. You know what I'm saying? I'm not fully convinced yet, but let's ask the second opinion of somebody. Let's ask the opinion of somebody. Hey, Rock, what do you think of this? Of these ladies here? Should we trust them here in the manosphere? Whoa, Maverick! Before you go asking The Rock a couple of questions about what these ladies think, I have to know again for sure. What do you think, Maverick? What do you think? Well, I already told you what I think. It doesn't matter what you think. Now let The Rock inform you about something, Maverick. The Rock has been observing these ladies for quite some time, and they are lovely, beautiful, sexy ladies, I will tell you that. But unfortunately, The Rock is a married man, so I cannot lay a finger on him, but I will say this. These women are anomalies. They are trustworthy. They are appealing to The Rock's eyes and his ears, and that is a very rare gift in a woman. And I must say, and The Rock must say this, The Rock will say this, these women will also lead other women to think like them, and perhaps a much bigger revolution may start, beginning amidst the manosphere, in front of everybody watching at home, and in front of the millions. I said in front of the millions and millions of The Rock's fans tuning into your channel to see The Rock do what he does best, talk smack. And furthermore, you as a man, Maverick, you must understand and know your damn role. But in turn, you must teach these people to shut their damn mouths when it comes to you handling your business, Maverick. You are the man of the house. You set the ground rules. You don't play patty cake. You are a gun-toting and often also overdosing on manliness, Maverick. You run this channel the most effective way I've ever seen you run it. And one day you're going to reach 1 million subscribers. Now can you smell that? And as for all the simps and all the feminists and all of these, negative people that want to come amongst your channel, Maverick, amongst Rebecca Barrett's channel, and amongst Cordy Ryan's channel, The Rock has one thing to say. Or a few things, rather. On the Brahma Bull on my back, I must say, The Rock must say this. If they ever come to your comment section, The Rock will personally stalk down their street, give them with a tickets purchased straight towards Ass Whoop Lane for the SmackDown Hotel. I will take their computer or whatever they use to type. The Rock will take it, shine it up real nice, turn that some bitches sideways, and stick it straight up all their candy asses. But The Rock must say he has strong faith in increasing marriages because of content creators like this, gathering the attention of the millions and millions. If you smell what The Rock is cooking. Thank you, Rock, for your very entertaining anecdote. And thank you for, giving me and these lovely women the appraisal. I'm still not fully convinced yet, though. We need a third wheel, and I think I know just the guy to do it. Hey, Kurt, how about you come here and give the people and me some words of encouragement here? To answer your question, Maverick, first of all, thank you for allowing me to grace your channel with my presence. You must have, You must have an amazing platform for a former Olympic gold medalist from 1996 to go here to show his face, and a former WWE and World Heavyweight Champion to show his, opinions and whatnot. I must say, I agreed absolutely with what these lovely women said. As an American-born soldier and a representative for America in the Olympics, I must say my personal life had not been the best, as you know. I had a pretty hard divorce midway through the prime of my pro wrestling career because I was a terrible, terrible husband, and my wife would not forgive me. And the crazy thing is, she left me for one of my coworkers, but I decided not to take that pain into my very next marriage. And now I'm happy with all four of my children, and we can drink all the milk and recite all of my 3 I's: intensity, integrity, and intelligence, to all of our children, because we understand our roles together as man and wife. Furthermore, I must commend both these lovely women. They're showing a lot of integrity for what they do for this very platform known as YouTube, for the so-called manosphere. I really, really do appreciate that. They're showing a lot of integrity. They're doing the right thing here, teaching men and women about, how to maintain stable relationships and what advice to follow and what advice not to follow, regardless of how popular it may be or not. And in the midst of that, they're also sharing their intelligence here. Intelligence on, how to behave properly in terms of not only forming relationships, but staying in relationships. I believe it was you, Maverick, that said, intrinsic values get your foot in the door, but extrinsic values get your foot in the door, but intrinsic values make sure your stay in the house is permanent. Or was it something like that? Remind me again. But anywho, thank you, Maverick, and I want to thank every single one of you fans of Maverick the Enigma. I believe you're called Enigmatics, right? Your Olympic gold medalist will see you guys at Metacon this Friday, and so will The Rock will be attending there. And I'll see you guys soon. Thank you for having me on your show, Maverick. Thanks, Rock. Thank you, Kurt Angle, as well, for offering your wonderful, wonderful, wonderful opinions concerning the content creation of these two women. But more importantly, the people's opinions matter. My Enigmatics, what do you think about these ladies' contents? Do you think we can trust them? I think we can, but we can't put all our trust inside of them. You know what I'm saying? We still have some rationale thinking to do on our own. But I think for the most part, we can trust these ladies because they're working towards what I like to deem as the solution. More marriages, less divorces, and more traditional marriages, might I add. But anywho, if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. The dialogue box is open for any conflicting opinions, thoughts, confessions, judgments, whatever you may deem so. And I will see you guys for the next video. Y'all take care of yourselves now. Love you. Deuces.